Welcome back to another Alliance War, the third of Season 19, right before that leaderboard starts to be active. For Loki's going up against 212, New Avengers 2, and just like every war, I'm going to start out by boosting up a little bit before starting out on path number 5 in the first section here. I've brought along with me Medusa, Omega Red, and Clairvoyant is making her war debut, at least for me personally. First node up, we could tell that we have the stubborn defensive tactics active, and this is also ebb and flow knockdown, so I need to knock down the opponents, otherwise I'm not really going to be doing a whole lot of damage. Now I'm using Omega Red, but with a slight twist, I do not have the suicide masteries on. This champion, it's not required to play Omega Red with suicides, it's just, well, dramatically better when you have them on. But he still has a lot of utility in his kit. He's still able to prevent the opponent from shrugging off, the stuns, and this way I'm able to heavy attack and knock down Agent Venom and get my full damage in, even if it's slightly reduced for not having suicides. It's really not too big of a deal, and yeah, still doesn't take very long to get through this first fight. Moving on to the second one, this is once again going to be an ebb and flow knockdown type of fight, and it's up against Darkhawk. Seems to be a relatively common placement, at least this is the second time I've come across it now, so going to be using Medusa here to once again just armor shatter this guy. There is something that happens in this fight though that I thought about doing that in the previous war, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't, and at the same time kind of glad I tried it. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a minute here. We get the armor shatter off. I need to bait out one special before I can really go to town. Fortunately, Darkhawk throws it right away, and now what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to heavy attack Darkhawk up against the wall. It's something that oh, here we go. Actually, yeah, let's watch and see what happens. Oh, he resisted. Ooh, okay. Fortunately, he only resisted the first part of it, but that that immediately made me think, okay, they can resist both parts. So you know what? Doing the heavy attack up against the wall strategy, that might work fine in in quests or something like that if you're fully shut down a robot with Medusa. But in war, you know what? Maybe it's better just to do some regular 5-hit combo type stuff. So we don't even need to bait out another special since Darkhawk is so close to going down, and there he goes. Alright, moving on to the next fight, we have a Sentinel. Really getting a lot of use out of my Medusa in these wars lately. I'm loving it, man. I love to use Medusa. It's been a long time since I really got to use her. Anyway, this fight, there's Power Snack 2, which means every 7 seconds, the next buff that I gain is going to be consumed, essentially. And the opponent, Sentinel in this case, is going to gain 50% of a bar of power. This guy is defensive. He does get the stubborn defensive tactics and all that. Stubborn, since it's still new, should probably mention what it does. If you evade attacks or they miss or anything like that, even with dexterity, if you use dexterity to evade their specials, they go indestructible until you block a hit. But then you're able to deal some damage again. Problematic in some situations, not so much in others. Alright, so Sentinel here, he gains a bunch of power just because, every 7 seconds, like I said, he gains power when I gain a buff, and Medusa, there's no real way to stop Medusa from gaining buffs. And I thought about this real hard before doing this fight. If I felt like I needed to pop a boost or anything like that to help me shut him down faster, and I determined I don't think I needed to do that. So this is kind of the first test run of trying this fight without having to pop a boost or anything like that, and turned out that it's totally fine. Kind of. I almost got hit by the L3. And of course I did eat a heavy attack as I was rambling about stubborn and this node and all that. But yeah, all right, so he gets some healing, which I was kind of surprised by. I thought that my armor shatter was just going to shut down all abilities, including that heal from the other node, but it doesn't really matter. This guy is fully shut down, have a long duration armor shatter. I'm going to get to an L2 here, let her rip. And yeah, Sentinel, he drops like a big old metal sack of potatoes. Moving on, we're in the second half of the war now. Gonna go ahead and reboost, and I'm on path number 2. Now, these nodes, to be honest, I'm not that big a fan of the nodes here. They're very complicated in their wording, and it's the type of nodes that kind of trap you. It's this strike counter combat power rate. So essentially, you're given a certain number of charges for your light, medium, and heavy attacks. And every time you perform one of those attacks, you lose a charge. And when those charges hit 0, then something bad happens to you. And in this case, your power is reduced. So you're going to see that in a minute. I'm trying to vary my attacks. This way it doesn't happen. And eventually it does go to 0, but it resets when you pop a special. So I only got a couple of the reduced power things on myself. But then I realized, like, man, it's just not even worth trying to play around. It feels like almost impossible unless you're playing with some power gain champion. But here's the part I really don't like about this node. It hits a certain point where you start losing power, and so you can't pop a special to get out of it. And even when you pop a special, it's not like those effects go away. You're still losing power. It was an easy fight. There are more difficult nodes. It's just it's not really a matter of difficult or not difficult. It's a matter of I don't know. I just am not a fan of the type of nodes where, like, you get trapped. Like there's no way to remove that negative power thing once it happens. All right, it becomes a little bit more of an issue with this Black Widow versus Vision fight, because this is basically the same node, except when you gain a bar of power, you also have Power Sting on yourself, which means that you cannot throw a special right away. And, at first I started trying to play around it, and then I was kind of just like, I don't even know if I want to play around it. Playing around it caused me to not deal any damage because of the stubborn global there, because I did an intercept basically with my special, but I dexed in order to do that, and at some point here I kind of just gave up. I'm not sure if I hit that point just yet. I think I might do like one other heavy attack here before really throwing in the towel on it. But yeah, I definitely was of that mindset, like, okay, I think I'm going to get through this fight if I just ignore that node. And that's just going to be the best way for me to play around it at this point in time. Just ignore it, and that's it. So, yeah, I don't even bother anymore. I threw one special there, but that was just to get in some damage. That wasn't to reset my counters or anything like that. And ultimately, vision goes down. So, yeah, I don't know. It's... like I said, it's not really a critique of the difficulty of the node. It's just, I guess, the fun factor of it I didn't enjoy. But anyway, moving on to what will be my final contribution to this war. We have a Nick Fury here, and this one is a really tough fight. This is Hazard Shift, Incinerate, Poison. So basically, he cycles between... reflecting a certain type of damage at you. Like if at the start of the fight, you're gonna see an icon on his buff meter there that shows a little flame. That's the Incinerate symbol. And if I attack Nick Fury, then I'm gonna get an Incinerate on myself. So I'm stalling, and then it's gonna switch. I can finally attack him because now it's poison, and Omega Red's immune to poison. And I'm trying desperately to get some attacks in, but I'm just getting clipped over and over and over again. I finally get out of the corner there. You can see the timer, it's switching, and it's already back to the Incinerate. Now, something that I did not realize until I was already halfway through this fight is that the Incinerate damage is actually not that bad. So if I had to do this fight again, I would at least heavy attack him to keep the spores up throughout the Incinerate phase, because I mean the phases, they last for 12 seconds each, which is actually longer than the time that your degen is there. So it was just extremely difficult for me to hold the spores as is. It also caused me to get backed up against the wall, which I used if I used heavy attacks earlier. You can see now I have the Incinerate on myself. I accidentally hit him there, but I am mostly able to recover that damage through willpower. Now if you stacked up more than one of those then you would be taking a decent chunk of damage. That debuff, because of the other node on here, which extends the duration of debuffs 100%, it'll actually do a lot of damage. So at this point, I don't have enough health to play with to really do that strategy, even though I kind of realized it, but I just couldn't take any more damage by throwing heavies against the Incinerate. So at this point, I kind of already am thinking, yeah, I'm probably dead. I don't think there's any way for me to get out of this fight alive. However, it'd be great, it'd be awesome if I could at least push him through this first phase and then run out the clock on the real Nick Fury state. But I am down to 1% already, and eventually there's just not going to be anything I can do, especially with Stubborn. Right here, I need to block a hit in order to get the Indestructible off, and I just couldn't do it. So it's a really tough fight, just in general. But I was first time experiencing it, so next time would be better. I also don't have Sabretooth with me, so it was really tough to keep up those spores. Any Omega Red players out there who have foregone Sabretooth know what I'm talking about. That synergy does quite a bit for you. So yeah, there it is, man. Second death of the season, and someone else comes and finished up this Nick Fury. And that is going to do it for this war. We did win this war. Good war to you guys over in 2-1-1, and thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.